Hi guys, good morning and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be looking at what kind of books I have read and my favourite kind of books. So without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I am actually dyslexic. For anyone that doesn't know, dyslexia means you have difficulty processing information and that this can lead to difficulties in reading and spelling. So growing up, I absolutely hated reading. You could not get me to read. I enjoyed it if other people read. I enjoyed listening to like audiobooks and stuff like that, but I never actually wanted to commit and read my own book. So I feel like this first book is really appropriate. It's called The Dyslexic Advantage, Unlocking the Hidden Potential of the Dyslexic Brain. Now, this book is really interesting. It's written by a couple of doctors and they look at dyslexia but from a completely different point of view, that it is not a limitation, that it is more an advantage, and you just have to find how to sort of like unlock those skills and get those sort of potentials out of you. So I'm just going to read a little segment from the book, which is my favourite part. So it says, what makes Sir Richard Branson, Sir Alan Sugar and Sir Norman Foster special? The answer, as revealed in the body of the press release, was that each of these highly successful entrepreneurs also suffered from dyslexia, a condition researchers at the school found to predispose individuals with dyslexia quite strongly to entrepreneurial success. And in this book, it basically discloses that a lot of people at the top of companies, so like the heads of companies, the original founders of those companies, 9 times out of 10 are actually dyslexic. And I find that really interesting because it shows that they have a different way of thinking that is kind of outside the box. It's not completely mainstream, and that can make them really good for things like startup companies or obviously the original founders of major companies. On the back of the book, it also has a really interesting little segment, and I'm just going to read that out as well. And it says, although dyslexics often struggle to decode the words, this book shows why they can have hidden aptitudes that allow them to excel as architects, novelists, business pioneers, surgeons, and investors. I just think for anyone who has dyslexia, this is a lovely book to read because it really motivates you, really makes you feel good and makes you feel like actually, hey, this doesn't have to be something that holds me back. It can be something that I put towards my future, that I just need to tailor my skills and I can actually be really successful in certain fields. Also, I think for anyone that is a parent that has just had their child diagnosed with dyslexia, I would really encourage them to read this just for the fact that it has a lot of the basic information and it kind of shows you how to tailor learnings where you can get help and things like that. And I think it is a brilliant starter book, a brilliant manual for any parent out there. Okay, next book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, this is a really interesting book because it is all on financial independence, entrepreneurship, and investing and things like that. And I think this book is really good for anyone who wants like personal financial advice, personal financial help, and it just breaks everything down. And it basically goes through his life story. So the author of this book is Robert T. Kiyosaki, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. He's an entrepreneur, he's invested heavily in property and things like that and companies, and yeah, he's minted basically, and he wrote this book. I think he's also wrote other books as well, and I think he even has an online course. This is the only book of his that I've actually purchased, but I found it really fascinating. It goes really in depth as well with a lot of things. And he talks about one key feature, which is the difference between sort of investing your money in things that you want rather than investing things in, say, like assets that are going to bring you in more money that will, you know, add to your wealth effectively. I even like this book so much that I've actually highlighted certain statements that I find particularly interesting or that sort of resonate with me. But yeah, anyone for financial help, financial book, I would recommend this guy. Okay, so the next book is a book, Cole and Sav, Our Surprising Love Story, and it's by Cole and Savannah LeBrant. This is actually an autobiography for 2 YouTubers. So I follow the LeBrant family on YouTube. So this is Cole, this is Savannah, and this is their daughter Everly. They also have 2 more children since writing this book. and it is basically the story of how they met. And I just think it's really beautiful because I originally followed Cole back on, what was it? I think was it Vine back in the day, something like that. And then I followed his journey when he got with Savannah, and Savannah already had a daughter, and I just thought it was really beautiful how he kind of like accepted her into his life, and you wouldn't know any different. You would think that Everly was his biological child. He's just an amazing dad with her. And I just think it's quite a nice sort of romantic kind of story, if you like that sort of thing. A real romantic story though. Okay. Next up is Nala's World by Dean Nicholson. This is also another autobiography. It is based on a true story, and basically Dean decides, sort of midlife crisis if you will, he wants to go travelling around the world by bike. So he wants to cycle. Whilst he is travelling around the world, he comes across a stray cat, and he takes it in and he looks after her and he brings her round on his travels. So this is sort of about where he started, when he found Nala, and their travels since. And I just think it's a really beautiful book because it is literally one man and his cat, which is really cute. They have beautiful pictures of them together in it, and it's quite an inspirational book for anyone who likes traveling and sort of out there kind of stories. It's really cool, and it's packed full of adventure and like really close shaves as well. And the exciting thing is that's obviously all based on true story. None of that's made up. That is this guy's life. Okay, so this is Adam Henson's autobiography. For those of you that don't know Adam Henson, he is normally on Countryfile, and he is a farmer, obviously. This is his autobiography, and it goes through his childhood and school and things like that, and then it gets up to when he goes to college and he decides he wants to follow in like his father's footsteps and he wants to do farming, and then it goes all the way up to when he travels, and then when he eventually gets into TV and has his own farm. And I really liked it because I just liked the style of it kind of thing, and how it was written was really nice. I actually got this copy from Countryfile Live. I'm trying to think what year, I can't remember what year. It was the first year that Countryfile Live came out, and I went to Blenheim Palace. I got this book, and I also got it signed by him, which is pretty cool. Now, this last book, a lot of you probably would have read before, and it's called Animal Farm. I think a lot of schools do this as a text that they have to read for like GCSE level, UK schools obviously. This is slightly different to the books that you would read at school, just for the fact that it is a graphic novel. The reason I went for graphic novel is obviously I am dyslexic, so it is far more manageable for me to read something like this than something with loads of words and get confused on the characters and things like that. This book is really interesting because of like the morals and the kind of message that they're trying to get out there. So basically, for those of you that don't know, it starts off that you have the animals on the farm, they can all communicate, and then you have the farmers, which is obviously humans. The animals rise up because they're fed up of being forced to do manual labour, they're fed up of being raised and then eaten and things like that. So they rise up against the farmers and they take over the farm. Now, once this happens, the pigs take over charge of the farm, and they kind of become sort of a democracy. It starts off as a democracy. Then there's one pig in particular, and he sort of rises to power, shall we say, and it kind of goes to its head a little bit. And I think it's really interesting because then at the end of the book, it shows that over the years, the pigs kind of changed. They started wearing humans' clothes, they started standing on 2 feet and basically becoming really similar to humans, and they started to run the farm exactly the same as humans. And basically, I think the moral of the story, or the moral that I took away from it, is even though, you know, you can start off with good intentions, you can, once you get into that place of high power, you always have to put yourself in check, because otherwise you can become as bad as the people you set out to be different from. I think that's it. I haven't really read many books, or many books that I like. Oh! There is one more I forgot. Well, it's a lot more books, but it's a style of book, so I will just bring one and show you. Okay, so these are manga books. For those of you that don't know, they are also a form of graphic novel, a form of comic, whatever you like to call it. They were originally created in Japan, but obviously they've been translated into English, and it is basically like comic book style, which is pretty cool. The difference with these books is you read them the other way around, so you read from this way, going through that way, and there is kind of like, they normally have a guide at the back of the book, which is like, you're reading the wrong direction, da da da, and it shows you. So it's very different to sort of the other books that you get. I like these particularly because obviously I'm dyslexic, as I said before. Really easy to read, and normally they have really good storylines. These are two of my favorite ones. So this is the first ever manga I read, Naruto. Really interesting, and it's basically about a ninja and his struggle going through the ninja academy, training up, and he's kind of shunned by his village, and it's just how he never gives up, and he always carries on no matter what people think of him, and he's like, I will be the best, kind of thing. So I think kind of for like a young teenager book, this is really good because it's kind of motivation that, you know, you don't ever give up, you carry on, and you will succeed one day. My second favourite manga is The Promised Neverland. This kind of similar pretenses to Animal Farm, but manga form. And basically it follows a group of orphans, these people, in an orphanage, and that's the life they know. Whenever someone gets adopted, they think they get to leave the orphanage, everything's nice, da, da, da. And then the truth comes out that actually there are these aliens, and the aliens use the children as meat. So these orphanages aren't actually orphanages, they're farms, kind of like an organic free-range farm, kind of like you get with chickens. And whenever one gets adopted, they get given to the aliens as food. And I think it's a really interesting concept. It's got like dark bits in it, but not too much. But it's a lot of sort of like detective mystery stuff in this one, and I'd recommend that one quite highly. Okay, so that is it for my favourite books. Like I said, I haven't can't even speak now. I haven't read many books in my life, so I think it's quite a testament when I have actually read a book, because it has to have a lot of things to captivate me in order to actually finish reading it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit of a different one. It was just like completely sat down, just talking about random things. But if you liked it, then please give a like. Smash that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you in the next video. Tune in next time. Bye guys.